Aloha everybody, welcome to another edition of Sports People Hawaii. I'm Howard Deshevsky. Coming up here in the next 30 minutes, so you'll meet a Punahou football player who loves to bang heads on the field, then turn heads with his music. We'll bring you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at Hawaii's most beloved team, the Wahine volleyball team, and see what goes into preparation on game day. Plus, what do you do when you don't have a place to play beach volleyball? Well, that's easy. You bring the beach to the park. But first, KEAHI Inay's parents knew there was something a little bit different with their son when he was about 2.5 years of age. Doctors then confirmed their greatest fears. But that's when his life took a turn and headed down a whole new road. "16-year-old KEAHI Inay loves nothing more than to lace up his shoes and run. Down the road, around the park, through the trees."
To him, running is just, he can be himself. I mean, there is no boundaries for him in running. His disability doesn't affect him anyway. It's not a physical disability. So for him to run, it's just like he can let everything out. He can release, and that's his release to the world.
But that wasn't always the case. In fact, KEAHI first started running as an escape. If he encountered a problem or had a bad day in school, he would book it home. Then he began competing as an 8th grader and never looked back. Today, he's a junior on the Campbell High School cross-country team. Tell me how you feel when you run.
Stress-free. It's like I'm in I'm like in my own world.
Is there any place you'd rather be than running?
No. No, there's no place I've ever been than running.
He likes to run a lot. I help him with that as much as I can. He's a smart kid. But a lot of people, they just look at him and they just think he's different. They don't know anything about him, and they just think he might be a little bit different than everybody else, and it's true.
True, because KEAHI has been trying to outrun a label he has carried since childhood.
He's diagnosed with high-functioning autism. He was diagnosed at an early age, about 2.5, and ever since then, he's been with that diagnosis.
We were heartbroken. One of the things the doctor did say was, he'll be in special ed his whole life. There's no way of he would never be normal. He would have services his whole life, probably live with you forever.
The diagnosis devastated Mark and Tara, but it also brought them closer, and together they made a decision to disregard what doctors were telling them.
At that point, I became almost obsessed. Online, day and night, to wee hours in the morning, just researching, because there was really nothing here in Hawaii locally about it.
With their options limited, the Inays decided to write their own prescription for success, to challenge KEAHI, not just to be average, but to excel above and beyond everybody else.
We didn't want him to be in a separate classroom than everybody else. We wanted him to be with everybody else. And even when he was younger, he had an aide with him that would help him socially interact with other kids. But, academically, we always pushed him. We always tried to, make him, what we felt like be normal, even though he wasn't normal.
It was a plan that had many shaking their heads. Today, more than a dozen years later, and with a better understanding of autism, many are still in disbelief.
So not only is he mainstream, he's not in special ed, he's not only in regular courses, but he's in the higher level. He's in the international baccalaureate courses.
Yes, he is. He was taking honors courses as a freshman, and this year is the year where they say whether you want to stay in, regular like AP or honors levels courses, or you want to go to the international baccalaureate courses. And so he's one of, a few students that are actually going for the international baccalaureate diploma.
It's very difficult. More difficult than AP even.
But you're one of the best students in the school.
Mm-hmm.
How does it make you feel to know that you're taking these difficult courses and you're doing well? How does that make you feel?
It's a good accomplishment for me because autistic kids like me aren't supposed to be doing this kind of stuff like IB. And yet here I am doing IB courses and doing well in it.
And back to KEAHI's running. He recently qualified to compete in his league and state championships. Dad only hoped he wouldn't embarrass himself.
For me, it's just two roles. I coach him, but then, I'm also his father. So on one side, I have to stay, technical and maintain that. But when I see him finish races, like when he came in second at OAs, or when he finished and placed in states, I was just overwhelmed. I mean, I was wearing my sunglasses to hide the tears from everybody else.
I am just unbelievably proud. The running is one thing for me, like coming in second at OAs was huge for me. But what we saw after was just words cannot express. The team all cheered him on to, they're all like, speech, 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 and he got up and amazing speech. Everybody was in tears after. I mean, it was the biggest thing for me, for fighting so many years, going to court with the DOE, just all the years of fighting and hoping and praying that he'd come out of that little world of his, and he's finally out, and he's not done yet. He's not.
Despite KEAHI's many successes, his parents are still quick to point out there will be many challenges on the road ahead, but it's a path they and KEAHI are ready to tackle one day and one step at a time.
It feels like I'm in a hard day's work and just going to sleep, because it's a privilege, right? You need to earn your running time, and you must spend it wisely.
If you had to tell something to other kids who are diagnosed with autism, what would you tell another child, another person?
Just keep going until you reach the finish line, and then continue training until you reach your goals. Don't give up.
Such an amazing young boy, and yes, if you're wondering, he does plan on leaving home and going to college, and running, of course, and he hopes to run for the University of Oregon, and we wish him well.